Hey crew, it's Bit, and I am back with some more knowledge. Today we are going to be starting a new chapter, a new section, a new segment, a new playlist, a new whatever. This is going to be the Epic of Gilgamesh. I have heard it read aloud to me, but now I'm going to read it aloud to you. We're going to see what it actually says. I am trusting uh, this is the ancienttext.org translation. It is publicly available, as all of the texts that I use are, so that you can go back and check the things. The link is provided down below. And we're just going to read through it and see what it is. I don't know how much discussion I will have to add to it, but if there are things to talk about, we will definitely talk about them. So, tablet one. Now, I'm control scrolled in a good bit so that y'all can see it. So, it cuts off a little bit of the page. That's just part of the process. He who has seen, who has seen everything, I will make known to the lands. I will teach about him who experienced all things alike. Anu, now let's discuss this real quick. These ellipses right here indicate that something is missing. I'm going to try not to pause for them unless they're like large, but there is something missing there. Uh, I will teach about him who experienced all things alike. Anu granted him the totality of knowledge of all. He saw the secret, discovered the hidden. He brought information of the time before the flood. He went on a distant journey, pushing himself to exhaustion, but then was brought to peace. He carved on a stone stela all of his toils and built the wall of Uruk Haven, the wall of the sacred Yana temple, the holy sanctuary. Look at its walls, which gleam like copper. Inspect its inner wall, the likes of which no one can equal. Take hold of the threshold stone. It dates from ancient times. Go, go close to the Yana temple, the residence of Ishtar, such as no later king or man ever equaled. Go up on the wall of Uruk and walk around. Examine its foundation. Inspect its brickwork thoroughly. Is not even the core of the brick structure made of kiln fire and brick? And did not the seven sages themselves lay out its plans? 1 league city, 1 league palm gardens, 1 league lowlands. The open area is 3 leagues, and the open area of Uruk, the wall, encloses. Find the copper tablet box. Open the of its block of bronze. Undo the fastening of its secret opening. Take out and read from the lapis lazuli tablet how Gilgamesh went through every hardship. Supreme over other kings, lordly in appearance, he is a hero, born of Uruk, the goring wild bull. He walks out in front, the leader, and walks at the rear, trusted by his companions, mighty Net, protector of his people, raging wood flood wave who destroys even walls of stone. Offspring of Lugal Banda, Gilgamesh is strong to perfection, son of the August cow, Ramat Ninsun. Gilgamesh is awesome to perfection. It was he who opened the mountain passes, who dug wells on the flank of the mountain. It was he who crossed the oceans, the vast seas, to the rising sun, who explored the world regions, seeking life. It was he who reached by his own sheer strength Utapashinim, the faraway, who restored the sanctuaries, or cities, that the flood had destroyed, for teeming mankind. Who can compare with him in kingliness? Who can say like Gilgamesh, I am king? Whose name from the date of his birth was called Gilgamesh? 2/3 of him is God, 1/3 of him is human. The great goddess Aruru designed the model for his body. She prepared his form, beautiful, handsomest of men, perfect. He walks around the enclosure of Uruk. Like a wild bull, he makes himself mighty, head raised over others. There is no rival who can raise his weapon against him. His fellows stand at the alert, attentive to his orders, and the men of Uruk become anxious and Gilgamesh does not leave a son to his father. Night and day, he arrogant. The following lines are interpreted as rhetorical, perhaps spoken by the oppressed. Is Gilgamesh the shepherd of Uruk-Havin? Is he the shepherd, bold, eminent, knowing, and wise? Gilgamesh does not leave a girl to her mother. The daughter of the warrior, the bride of the young man, the gods kept hearing their complaints. So the gods of heaven implored the Lord of Uruk, Anu, you have indeed brought into being a mighty wild bull, head raised. There is no rival who can raise a weapon against him. His fellows stand at the alert, attentive to his orders. Gilgamesh does not leave a son, day and night, does not leave a son to his father. Day and night he arrogantly. Is he the shepherd of Uruk-Havin? Is he their shepherd? Bold, eminent, knowing, and wise? Gilgamesh does not leave a girl to her mother. The daughter of the warrior, the bride of the young man. Anu listened to their complaints, and the gods called out to Aruru. It was you, Aruru, who created mankind. Now, create a Zikru to him. Let him be equal to Gilgamesh's stormy heart. Let them be a match for each other, so that Uruk may find peace. And when Aruru heard this, she created within herself the Zikrit of Anu. Aruru washed her hands. She pinched off some clay and threw it into the wild. In the wilderness she created valiant Enkidu, born of silence, endowed with strength by Ninurta. His whole body was shaggy with hair. He had a full head of hair like a woman. His locks billowed in profusion like Ashnan. He knew neither people nor settled living, but wore a garment like Simukan. He ate grasses with the gazelles and jostled at the watering hole with the animals. As with animals, his thirst was slaked with mere water. A notorious trapper came face to face with him opposite the watering hole. A first, a second, and a third day he came face to face with him opposite the watering hole. On seeing him, the trapper's face went stark with fear, and he, Enkidu, and his animals drew back home. He was rigid with fear, though stock still. His heart pounded, and his face drained of color. He was miserable to the core, and his face looked like one who had made a long journey. The trapper addressed his father, saying, Father, a certain fellow has come from the mountains. He is the mightiest in the land. His strength is as mighty as the meteorite of Anu. He continually goes over the mountains. He continually jostles at the watering place with the animals. He continually plants his feet opposite the watering place. I was afraid, so I did not go up to him. He filled in the pits that I had dug, wrenched out my traps that I had spread, released from my grasp the wild animals. He does not let me make my rounds in the wilderness. The trapper's father spoke to him, saying, My son, there lives in Uruk a certain Gilgamesh. There is no one stronger than he. He is as strong as the meteorite of Anu. Go, set off to Uruk. Tell Gilgamesh of this man of might. He will give you the harlot Shamhat. Take her with you. The woman will overcome the fellow as if she were strong. When the animals are drinking at the watering place, have her take up her robe and expose her sex. And when he sees her, he will draw near to her, and his animals who grow up in his wilderness will be alien to him. He heeded his father's advice. The trapper went off to Uruk. He made the journey and stood inside of Uruk and declared to Gilgamesh, There is a certain fellow who has come from the mountains. He is the mightiest in the land. His strength is as mighty as the meteorite of Anu. He continually goes over the mountains. He continually jostles at the watering place with the animals. He continually plants his feet opposite the watering place. I was afraid, so I did not go up to him. He filled in the pits that I had dug. He wrenched out the traps that I had spread, released from my grasp the wild animals. He does not let me make my rounds in the wilderness. And Gilgamesh said to the trapper, Go, trapper, bring the harlot Shamhat with you. And when the animals are drinking at the watering place, have her take off her robe and expose her sex. And when he sees her, he will draw near to her, and his animals who grew up in his wilderness will be alien to him. And the trapper went, bringing the harlot Shamhat with him. They set off on the journey, making direct way. On the third day they arrived at the appointed place, and the trapper and the harlot sat down at their posts. A first day and a second they sat opposite the watering hole. The animals arrived and drank at the watering hole. The wild beasts arrived and slaked their thirst with water. And then he, Enkidu, offspring of the mountains, who eats grasses with the gazelles, came to drink at the watering hole with the animals. With the wild beast he slaked his thirst with water. And then Shamhat saw him, a primitive, a savage fellow from the depths of the wilderness. That is he, Shamhat. Release your clenched arms, expose your sex, so that he can take you, and your voluptuousness. Do not be restrained, take his energy. When he sees you, he will draw near to you. Spread out your robe, so that he can lie upon you, and perform for this primitive the task of womankind. His animals, who grow up in his wilderness, will become alien to him, and his lust will groan over you. And Shamhat unclutched her bosom, exposed her sex, and he took her in the voluptuousness. She was not restrained, but took his energy. She spread out her robe, and he lay upon her, and she performed for the primitive the task of womankind. His lust groaned over her for 6 days and 7 nights. Enkidu stayed aroused, and had intercourse with the harlot, until he was sated with her charms. But when he turned his attention to his animals, the gazelle saw Enkidu and darted off. The wild animals distanced themselves from his body. Enkidu, his utterly depleted body, his knees that wanted to go off with the animals went rigid. Enkidu was diminished, his running was not as before. But then he drew himself up, for his understanding had broadened. Turning around, he sat down at the harlot's feet, gazing into her face, his ears attentive as the harlot spoke. And the harlot said to Enkidu, You are beautiful. Enkidu, you are become like a god. Why do you gallop around the wilderness with the wild beasts? Come, let me bring you into Uruk-Haven, to the holy temple, the residence of Anu and Ishtar, the place of Gilgamesh, who is wise to perfection, but who stretches power over the people like a wild bull. And what she kept saying found favor with him. Becoming aware of himself, he sought a friend. And Enkidu spoke to the harlot, Come, Shamhat, take me away with you to the sacred holy temple, the residence of Anu and Ishtar, the place of Gilgamesh, who is wise to perfection, but who stretches power over the people like a wild bull. I will challenge him. Let me shout out in Uruk, I am the mighty one. Lead me in, and I will change the order of things. He whose strength is mightiest is the one born in the wilderness. Shamhat to Enkidu, Come, let us go, so that he may see your face. I will lead you to Gilgamesh. I know where he will be. Look about, Enkidu, inside Uruk-Haven, where the people show off in skirted finery, where every day is a day for some festival, where the lyre and drum play continually, where harlots stand about prettily, exuding voluptuousness, full of laughter, and on the couch of nights the sheets are spread. Enkidu, you who do not know how to live. I will show you Gilgamesh, a man of extreme feelings. Look at him, gaze in his face. He is a handsome youth with freshness. His entire body exudes voluptuousness. He has mightier strength than you, without sleeping day or night. Enkidu, it is your wrong thoughts you must change. It is Gilgamesh whom Shamhat loves. And Anu, Enlil, and La have enlarged his mind. Even before you came from the mountain, Gilgamesh and Uruk had dreams about you. And Gilgamesh got up and revealed the dream, saying to his mother, Mother, I had a dream last night. Stars of the sky appeared, and some kind of meteorite of Anu fell next to me. I tried to lift it, but it was too mighty for me. I tried to turn it over, but I could not budge it. The land of Uruk was standing around it. The whole land had assembled around it. The populace was thronging around it. The men clustered about it and kissed its feet as if it were a little baby. I loved it and embraced it as a wife. I laid it down at your feet, and you made it compete with me. The mother of Gilgamesh, the wise and all-knowing, said to her lord, Ramat-Ninsum, the wise, all-knowing, said to Gilgamesh, As for the stars of the sky that appeared, and the meteorite of Anu which fell next to you, you tried to lift it, but it was too mighty for you. You tried to turn it over, but were unable to budge it. You laid it down at my feet, and I made it compete with you, and you loved and embraced it as a wife. There will come to you a mighty man, a comrade, who saves his friend. He is the mightiest in the land. He is strongest. His strength is mighty as the meteorite of Anu. You loved him and embraced him as a wife, and it is he who will repeatedly save you. Your dream is good and propitious. And a second time Gilgamesh said to his mother, Mother, I have had another dream. At the gate of my marital chamber there lay an axe, and the people had collected about it. The land of Uruk was standing around it. The whole land had assembled about it. The populace was thronging about it. And I laid it down at your feet. I loved it and embraced it as a wife, and you made it compete with me. The mother of Gilgamesh, the wise, all-knowing, said to her son, Ramatha-Ninsun, the wise, all-knowing, said to Gilgamesh, The axe that you saw is a man, that you love and embrace him as a wife, but that I have compete with you. There will come to you a mighty man, a comrade who saves his friend. He is the mightiest in the land. He is strongest. He is as mighty as the meteorite of Anu. And Gilgamesh spoke to his mother, saying, By the command of Enlil, the great counselor, so may it pass. May I have a friend and advisor may I have. You have interpreted for me the dreams about him. And after the harlot recounted the dreams of Gilgamesh to Enkidu, the two of them made love. And so ends Tablet 1. And there were a few interesting things here. The recurring theme of the strength of the meteorite of Anu. Now, you may be unaware, and I am sure someone will take offense, but there is a rock that is worshipped. It is a black rock set in a mount, in a cube, and people walk around it in a circle. And if you're really lucky, you get to put your hands on it or kiss it, and you're blessed by this rock. And it is one of the pillars of the religion that you must make pilgrimage to this place and perform the ritual of repeatedly encircling this particular rock. You can take from that what you will. It may or may not be the same rock. You can take this story either figuratively as a creation-ish type story. There are things that I have seen before where people took it out as representing the planets and the contesting of how the universe was formed. I'm not necessarily going to try to read that into this. I'm just trying really to get an understanding of what is actually in here. I'm taking it on faith that this is the best possible interpretation of it. And it is interesting to note that this is a conglomeration, right? There are multiple sources that they put together to try to get one particular narrative. And we have the father of the hunter, and you have Gilgamesh repeating the same story, and then you have the harlot and Gilgamesh doing so. It's interesting to note that the story is repeated in that manner. It may or may not be very important. I don't know. I'm not trying to cast judgment on that. Again, I'm just trying to really read this into the record more than anything. All right, tablet number 2. Enkidu sits in front of her. The next 30 lines are missing. Some of the fragmentary lines from 35 are on, it's not going to show me, from parallels in the old Babylonian. Why? His own counsel, at his instruction. Who knows his heart? Shamhat pulled off her clothing and clothed him with one piece. While she clothed herself with a second, she took hold of him as the gods do, and brought him to the hut of the shepherds. The shepherds gathered all around about him. They marveled to themselves, how the youth resembles Gilgamesh, tall in stature, towering up to the battlements over the wall. Surely he was born in the mountains. His strength is as mighty as the meteorite of Anu. They placed food in front of him. They placed beer in front of him. Enkidu knew nothing about eating bread for food, and of drinking beer he had not been taught. The harlot spoke to Enkidu, saying, "Eat the food, Enkidu, it is the way one lives. Drink the beer, as is the custom of the land." Enkidu ate the food until he was sated. He drank the beers, 7 jugs, and became expansive and sang with joy. He was elated, and his face glowed. He splashed his shaggy body with water and rubbed himself with oil and turned into a human. He put on some clothing and became like a warrior. He took up his weapons and chased lions so that the shepherds could eat. He routed the wolves and chased the lions. With Enkidu as their guard, the herders could lie down. A wakeful man, a singular youth. He was twice as tall as normal men. That's interesting. The next 33 lines are missing in the standard version. Lines 57 to 86 are taken from the Old Babylonian. And then he raised his eyes and saw a man. He said to the harlot, Shamhat, "Have that man go away. Why is he come? I will call out his name." And the harlot called out to the man and went over to him and spoke with him. "Young man, where are you hurrying? Why this arduous pace?" And the young man spoke, saying to Enkidu, "They have invited me to a wedding, as is the custom of the people. The selection of brides. I have heaped up tasty delights for the wedding on the ceremonial platter for the king of broad-marted Uruk. Open is the veil of the people for choosing a girl. For Gilgamesh, the king of the broad-marted Uruk, opens the veil of the people for choosing. He will have intercourse with the destined wife. He first, the husband afterwards. This is ordered by the council of Anu. From the severing of his umbilical cord it has been destined for him." At the young man's speech, his Enkidu's face flushed with anger. Several lines are missing. Enkidu walked in front and Shamhat after him. The standard version resumes. He, Enkidu, walked down the street of Uruk Havin. Mighty. He blocked the way through Uruk, the sheepfold. The land of Uruk stood around him. The whole land assembled about him. The populace was thronging around him. The men were clustered about him and kissed his feet as if he were a little baby. Suddenly, a handsome young man. For Ishara, the bed of night, marriage is ready. For Gilgamesh, as for a god of a counterpart, is set up. And Enkidu blocked the entry to the marital chamber and would not allow Gilgamesh to be brought in. They grappled with each other at the entry to the marital chamber. In the street, they attacked each other. The public square of the land. The doorpost trembled and the wall shook. About 42 lines are missing from the standard version. Lines 103 to 129 are taken from the Old Babylonian. Gilgamesh bent his knees, and with his foot on the ground, his anger abated, and he turned his chest away. After he turned his chest, Enkidu said to Gilgamesh, "Your mother bore you ever unique. The wild cow of the enclosure, Ninsun, your head is elevated over other men. Enlil has destined you for the kingship over the people." 19 lines are missing. They kissed each other and became friends. The Old Babylonian becomes fragmentary. The standard version resumes. His strength is the mightiest in the land. His strength is as mighty as the meteorite of Anu. The mother of Gilgamesh spoke to Gilgamesh, saying, Ramat Ninsun said to her son, "Ramar Ninsun, my son," plaintively. She went up to his, Shamash's, gateway. Plaintively she implored, "Enkidu has no father or mother. His shaggy hair no one cuts. He was born in the wilderness. No one raised him." Enkidu was standing there, and he heard the speech. He sat down and wept. His eyes filled with tears. His arms felt limp. His strength weakened. They took each other by the hand, and their hands like... Enkidu made a declaration to Gilgamesh. 32 lines are missing here. In order to protect the cedar forest, Enlil assigned Humbaba as a terror to human beings. Humbaba's roar is a flood, his mouth is fire, and his breath is death. He can hear 100 leagues away any rustling in his forest. Who would go down into his forest? Enlil assigned him as a terror to human beings. And whoever goes down into his forest, paralysis will strike. Gilgamesh spoke to Enkidu, saying, "What you say About 42 lines are missing here in the standard version. Woe, my friend, who, my friend, can ascend to the heavens? Only the gods can dwell forever with Shamash. As for human beings, their days are numbered, and whatever they keep trying to achieve is but wind. Now, you are afraid of death. What has become of your bold strength? I will go in front of you, and your mouth can call out, Go on closer, do not be afraid. Should I fall, I will have established my fame. They will say, It was Gilgamesh who locked in battle with Humbaba the Terrible. You were born and raised in the wilderness. A lion leaped up to you, on you, so you have experienced it all. 5 lines are fragmentary. I will undertake it, and I will cut down the cedar. It is I who will establish fame for eternity. Come, my friend, I will go over to the forge, and have them cast the weapons in our presence. Holding each other by the hand, they went over to the forge. The standard version resumes at this point. The craftsmen sat and discussed with one another. We should fashion the axe. The hatchet should he weigh 1 talent in weight. Their swords should be 1 talent. Their armor should be 1 talent. Their armor. Gilgamesh said to the men of Uruk, Listen to me, men. 5 lines are missing here. You, men of Uruk, who know, I want to make myself more mighty, and I will go on a distant journey. I will face fighting such as I have never known. I will set out on a road I have never traveled. Give me your blessings. I will enter the city gate of Uruk. I will devote myself to the New Year's festival. I will perform the New Year's ceremonies, and the New Year's festival will take place, celebrations. They will keep shouting hurrah in. Enkidu spoke to the elders. What the men of Uruk? Say to him that he must go, nor to go to the cedar forest. The journey is not to be made. A man who, the guardian of the cedar forest, the noble counselors of Uruk arose and delivered their advice to Gilgamesh. You are young, Gilgamesh. Your heart carries you off. You do not know what you are talking about. Gave birth to you. Humbaba's roar is a flood. His mouth is a fire. His breath, death. He can hear any rustling in his forest 100 leagues away. Who would go down into his forest? Who among, even, the Agigi gods can confront him? In order to keep the cedar safe, Enlil assigned him as a terror to human beings. And Gilgamesh listened to the statement of his noble counselors. About 5 lines are missing to the end of Tablet 2. And so ends Tablet 2. There's not a whole lot left to discuss here either. There was one point that I was trying to remember, but I forget. What this is a call to action, right? This is most probably not a literal description of things that happened. No, it was the giants thing. I believe that there were giants at one point upon the earth, and so I am not at all surprised that these heroes are described as twice the size of men. Now, twice the size of men is a significant jump in stature, right? It's easy to look at people who are taller than you and be like, wow, they're really tall, right? I'm 5'10" and a half, almost 5'11", right? My son is 6'3". He is significantly taller than me, and looking at him, I can see the difference, right? You can see the difference in people who are taller or shorter than you. But just imagine somebody your height and then another person standing on top of them your height, and then that's who you're dealing with, right? These are that size people. That's really big. It also deals with Enkidu gets upset because it's the right of kingship to take the virgin head, right? It's the wedding night, so the king gets to imbibe in the pleasure first, and this hopefully was an end to that practice in these times, right? That is probably why that was included in this story, to discourage the people in the surroundings from doing the thing therein described as a terrible thing, sleeping with everybody's sons and daughters. It does not appear to have been a moral issue in any manner whatsoever for there to have been same-sex relationships, because Gilgamesh, the hero of the area, slept with both the sons and daughters. He sleeps with Enkidu. Enkidu slept with the prostitute and with Gilgamesh. And so there doesn't seem to be any morality issues involved with that for these people. That's interesting to note. That is definitely a thing. That is definitely pre-New Testament, for sure. All right, now we're going to get into tablet number 3. The elder spoke to Gilgamesh, saying, Gilgamesh, do not put your trust in just your vast strength, but keep a sharp eye out. Make each blow strike its mark. The one who goes on ahead saves the comrade. The one who knows the route protects his friend. Let Enkidu go ahead of you. He knows the road to the cedar forest. He has seen fighting, has experienced battle. Enkidu will protect the friend, will keep the comrade safe. Let his body urge him back to the wives. In our assembly we have entrusted the king to you, Enkidu, and on your return you must entrust the king back to us. And Gilgamesh spoke to Enkidu, saying, Come on, my friend, let us go to the Eglama temple, to Ninsun, the great queen. Ninsun is wise, all-knowing. She will put the advisable path at our feet. And taking each other by the hand, Gilgamesh and Enkidu walked to the Eglama, great palace, to Ninsun, the great queen. Gilgamesh arose and went to her. Ninsun, even though I am exceeding extraordinarily strong, I must now travel a long way to where Humbaba is. I must face fighting such as I have not known, and I must travel on a road that I do not know. Until the time that I can go and return, until I reach the cedar forest, until I kill Humbaba the Terrible, and eradicate from the land something baneful that Shamash hates, intercede with Shamash on my behalf. If I kill Humbaba and cut his cedar, let there be rejoicing all over the land, and I will erect a monument of the victory before you. The words of Gilgamesh, her son, grieving, Queen Ninsun heard over and over. Ninsun went to her living quarters. She washed herself with the purity plant. She donned a robe worthy of her body. She donned jewels worthy of her chest. She donned her sash and put on her crown. She sprinkled water from a bowl onto the ground. She went up to the roof. She went up to the roof and set incense in front of Shamash. She offered fragrant cuttings and raised her arms to Shamash. Why have you imposed, nay, inflicted, a restless heart on my son Gilgamesh? Now you have touched him so that he wants to travel a long way to where Humbaba is. He will face fighting such as he has not known, and will travel on a road that he does not know, until he goes away and returns, until he reaches the cedar forest, until he kills Humbaba the Terrible, and eradicates from the land something painful that you hate. On the day that you see him on the road, may Aja, the bride, without fear remind you, and command also the watchmen of the night, the stars, and at night your father, Sin. She banked up the incense and uttered the ritual words. She called to Enkidu and would give him instructions. Enkidu the mighty, you are not of my womb, but now I speak to you along with the sacred votaries of Gilgamesh, the high priestesses, the holy women, the temple servers. She laid a pendant on Enkidu's neck. The high priestesses took, and the daughters of the gods. I have taken Enkidu, Enkidu too. Gilgamesh I have taken, until he returns, until he goes and returns, until he reaches the cedar forest. Be it a month, be it a year. About 11 lines are missing here, and the placement of the following fragment. The gate of cedar, Enkidu in the temple of Shamash, and Gilgamesh in the Eglama. He made an offering of cuttings. The sons of the king. Perhaps some 60 lines are missing here. Enkidu will protect the friend, will keep the comrade safe. Let his body urge him back to the wives. In our assembly we have entrusted the king to you, and on your return you must entrust the king back to us. And Enkidu spoke to Gilgamesh, saying, My friend, turn back. The road. And the last lines are missing. And that is going to wrap up Tablet 3. There wasn't a whole lot to add to this at all, really. It's just they are about to depart on their journey, so they seek out the blessings. We're going to dive right into 4, and that will probably be the last one for today. So let's go ahead and do Tablet 4. At 20 leagues, they broke for some food. At 30 leagues, they stopped for the night, walking 50 leagues in a whole day, the walk of a month and a half. On the third day, they drew near to the Lebanon. They dug a well facing Shamash, the setting sun, and Gilgamesh climbed up a mountain peak, made a libation of flour, and said, "Mountain, bring me a dream, a favorable message from Shamash." And Enkidu prepared a sleeping place for him for the night. A violent wind passed through, so he attached a covering. He made him lie down, and in a circle, they, like grain from the mountain, while Gilgamesh rested his chin on his knees. Sleep that pours over mankind overtook him. In the middle of the night, his sleep came to an end. So he got up and said to his friend, "My friend, why did you not call out to me? Why did I wake up?" "My friend, did you not call out to me? Why did I wake up? Did you not touch me? Why am I so disturbed? Did a god pass by? Why are my muscles trembling?" "Enkidu, my friend, I've had a dream, and the dream I had was deeply disturbing. In the mountain gorges, the mountain fell down on me, us, wet, like flies. He who was born in the wilderness." And Enkidu interpreted the dream for his friend. "My friend, your dream is favorable. The dream is extremely important. My friend, the mountain which you saw in the dream is Humbaba. It means we will capture Humbaba and kill him and throw his corpse into the wasteland. In the morning there will be a favorable message from Shamash. At 20 leagues they broke for some food. At 30 leagues they stopped for the night, walking 50 leagues in the whole day, the walk of a month and a half. They dug a well facing Shamash. Gilgamesh climbed up a mountain peak, made a libation of flour, and said, "Mountain, bring me a dream, a favorable message from Shamash." And Enkidu prepared a sleeping place for him in the night. A violent wind passed through, so he attached a covering. It made him lie down in a circle. They, like grain from the mountain. While Gilgamesh rested his chin on his knees, sleep that pours over mankind overtook him. In the middle of the night his sleep came to an end. So he got up and said to his friend, "My friend, did you not call out to me? Why did I wake up? Did you not touch me? Why am I so disturbed? Did a god pass by? Why are my muscles trembling? Enkidu, my friend, I have had a dream. Besides my first dream, a second. And the dream I had so striking, so disturbing. I was grappling with a what? It doesn't tell me. With his bellow he split the ground, a cloud of dust to the sky. I sank to my knees in front of him. He holds that encircled my arm. My tongue hung out, my temples throbbed. He gave me a water to drink from his water skin. My friend, the god to whom we go is not the wild bull. He is totally different. The wild bull that you saw is Shamash, the protector. In difficulties he holds our hand. The one who gave you water to drink from his wineskin is your personal god, who brings honor to you, Lugal Banda. We should join together and do one thing, a deed such as never been done before in the land. At 20 leagues they broke for some food. At 30 leagues they stopped for the night, walking 50 leagues in a whole day, the walk of a month and a half. They dug a well facing Shamash, and Gilgamesh climbed up on a mountain peak, made a libation of flour, and said, "Mountain, bring me a dream, a favorable message from Shamash." And Enkidu prepared a sleeping place for him for the night. A violent wind passed through, so he attached a covering. They made him lie down, and, in a circle, they, like grain from the mountain. While Gilgamesh rested his chin on his knees, sleep that pours over mankind overtook him. In the middle of the night his sleep came to an end, and so he got up and said to his friend, "My friend, did you not call out to me? Why did I wake up? Did you not touch me? Why am I so disturbed? Did a god pass by? Why are my muscles trembling? Enkidu, my friend, I have had a third dream, and the dream I had was deeply disturbing. The heavens roared, and the earth rumbled. Then it became deathly still, and darkness loomed. A bolt of lightning cracked, and fire broke out, and where it kept thickening there rained death. And then the white-hot name dimmed, the fire went out, and everything that had been falling around turned to ash. Let us go down into the plain so we can talk it over. Enkidu heard the dream that he had presented and said to Gilgamesh, "About 40 lines are missing here." At 20 leagues they broke for some food, and at 30 leagues they stopped for the night, walking 50 leagues in a whole day. A walk of a month and a half. They dug a well facing Shamash, and Gilgamesh climbed up on a mountain peak and made a libation of flour and said, "Mountain, bring me a dream, a favorable message from Shamash." And Enkidu prepared a sleeping place for him for the night. A violent wind passed through, so he attached a covering. He made him lie down in a circle. They, like grain from the mountain. And while Gilgamesh rested his chin on his knees, sleep that pours over mankind overtook him. And in the middle of the night, his sleep came to an end. So he got up and said to his friend, "My friend, did you not call out to me? Why did I wake up? Did you not touch me? Why am I so disturbed? Did a god pass by? Why are my muscles trembling?" Enkidu, my friend, I have had a fourth dream, and the dream I had was deeply disturbing. About 11 lines are missing. He was cubits tall, Gilgamesh. And Enkidu listened to his dream. The dream that you had is favorable. It is extremely important, my friend. This is about Humbaba, a Before it becomes light, we will achieve victory over him. Humbaba, against whom we rage, we will, and triumph over him. In the morning there will be a favorable message from Shamash. At 20 leagues they broke for some food, and at 30 leagues they stopped for the night, walking 50 leagues in the whole day. A walk of a month and a half. They dug a well facing Shamash, and Gilgamesh climbed up on a mountain peak and made a libation of flour and said, "Mountain, bring me a dream, a favorable message from Shamash." And Enkidu prepared a sleeping place for him for the night. A violent wind passed through, so he attached a covering. They made him lie down in a circle. They, like grain from the mountain. And while Gilgamesh rested his chin on his knees, sleep that pours over mankind overtook him. In the middle of the night his sleep came to an end. So he got up and said to his friend, "My friend, did you not call out to me? Why did I wake up? Did you not touch me? Did a god pass by? Why are my muscles trembling?" Enkidu, my friend, I had a fifth dream, and the dream I had was deeply disturbing. His tears were running in the presence of Shamash. "What you said in Uruk, be mindful of it, stand by me." And Gilgamesh, the offspring of Uruk-Haven, Shamash heard what issued from his mouth, and suddenly there resounded a warning from the sky. "Hurry, stand by him so that he, Humbaba, does not enter the forest, and does not go down into the thickets and hide. He has not put on his 7 coats of armor, he is wearing only one, but has taken off 6. They, Gilgamesh and Enkidu, they lunged at each other like raging wild bulls. One name he bellowed, full of. The guardian of the fellow forest bellowed, Humbaba, like one alone cannot. Strangers. A slippery path is not feared by 2 people who help each other. Twice, 3 times. A 3-ply rope cannot be cut. The mighty lion as cubs can roll him over. Enkidu spoke to Gilgamesh, saying, "As soon as we have gone down into the cedar forest, let us split open the tree and strip off its branches." And Gilgamesh spoke to Enkidu, saying, "Why, my friend, we so wretchedly? We have crossed over all the mountains together in front of us before we have cut down the cedar. My friend, you who are so experienced in battle, who, fighting, you, and need not fear death, let your voice bellow forth like the kettle drum. Let the stiffness in your arms die. Let the paralysis in your legs go away. Take my hand, my friend. We will go on together. Your heart should burn to do battle. Pay no heed to death. Do not lose heart. The one who watches from the side is a careful man, but the one who walks in the front protects himself and saves his comrade." And through their fighting they established fame, and the 2 of them reached the evergreen forest. They cut off their talk and stood still. And so ends tablet number 4. And this is them preparing to do battle, right? They are going forth. There's a sequence of visions proclaiming that they will be victorious. And it's funny how the details repeat. I'm assuming that is because it was a familiar way of telling the story, right? There's no reason why he would wake up 5 times and say the exact same thing. Wait, did you touch me? And like, that's obviously just letting the reader be aware that this situation is addressed, right? No, nobody touched him. No, this didn't happen. It was a dream. And so that's really what was happening there. And this is really just saying that you're going to go in and you're going to defeat the demon and be victorious. Oh, and it leads up to the battle. So we're going to stop here. We're getting a little bit long on time. I don't like to make these overly extended. Part of the reason I do this is vocal therapy, so my voice is definitely on the back end of being useful. Hopefully, I brought a little bit of enlightenment and not too much confusion to a not too complicated topic. This is deep, deep history. This is very old story. This is fragmentary, so we do not have a complete narrative. Hopefully, that is apparent as we go through. To the crew, thanks for hanging out. I appreciate every single minute that you are here with me, and I am praying for you every single day. Until next time, I love you. God loves you. You are perfect, whole, and complete just the way that you are. And this has been Pitt State. Peace.